Today, I'm going to be talking about this Master Supply Co. Daytona 224 jacket. Ah. I will be going into the nitty-gritty on this jacket, but first I want to talk a little bit about the brand and why I am reviewing this particular jacket. People are often asking me in the comments and replying to the unboxing video that I did for this jacket. They are wanting to see jackets that are less expensive than the other ones I've been reviewing. So this jacket comes in at around $450. That is an understandably attractive price point. I'm going to get into the is it worth it? That'll be kind of the conclusion part of this video. Now, there are other $450 jackets and $400 jackets and $500 jackets. Why am I reviewing this Master Supply Co. jacket? Well, it's because there is kind of a lot of hype around this brand. And much like the Thursday jacket review, hype versus reality, I have been curious as to whether these jackets really jacket well or if it's just a bunch of fluff and marketing and really it's kind of hot garbage that's being sold under the premise of something really nice. And I really need to handle the jacket and wear the jacket to get a feeling for that and give my thoughts on an opinion on it. So that's what I've done. And you know, the infiltration that this brand has really undertaken into the sphere of folks that I follow on Instagram and YouTube to a certain extent has been impressive. And you know, they have this really over-the-top marketing, this spirit of the old West grit, dudes wearing cowboy hats and leather jackets on horses and all that kind of stuff. And that always struck me as really over the top. But then I see their jackets being worn by people that I like their style. And I follow these people and they seem like thoughtful, conscious consumers. And here they are wearing a Master Supply Co. jacket. So, you know, is it fluff? How can I reconcile that with people that I want to trust, these influencers that I like, that are kind of people in my circle, you know, wearing their jackets. And so it really created this perfect storm for me where I really want to review jackets in this price range. And then I am seeing people I know and to a certain extent trust wearing their jackets and saying nice things about them. I mean, is this possible? Could it be? Well, let's put our hands on the jacket and find out. And so, you know, it's been a big motivator for me to get into learning more about this brand. I would also say about their marketing. It is really over the top. And I find for me personally, it doesn't really land. It can come off at times as kind of cheesy, you know, like, I don't know if it's forced or just like, you know, there's a dartboard and people are just throwing darts and they're like, all right, it just landed on, let's do the most maximal version of that thing. And so they did that in every possible way. I know, you know, in the attention economy that we have these days, you have to do something to stand out. And going really over the top with the marketing type stuff is definitely a way to do that. And, you know, it really didn't fully click, I think, for me. And I'd be curious what the folks in the brand actually have to say about this. But it didn't fully click for me until I looked at Josh's profile. Josh is one of the three founders and a guy with a very large online presence. He's got almost 1 million followers on Instagram. And Josh has a really maximalist style himself, personally. Like, yeah, he's a really fit dude, but he's got the big beard, he's got tattoos, a lot of stuff that's cranked to 11 when it comes to what appears to be his personal style and how he presents himself online. So it kind of makes sense from a brand standpoint if the person in the like three buddies that is having the most online presence and y'all are trying to figure out how to convey this new brand through that person's already extant following to go for the same kind of thing, to go maximal. Whether that's the origin story or not of the style of their marketing. Personally, it was, for me, part of the cognitive dissonance, seeing this really maximalist, over the top, to me a little bit cheesy, marketing type stuff, but then seeing folks that I thought did not have over-the-top or cheesy style rocking their jackets. Well, how do we pair those things? So, you know, that's my idea of the brand's marketing. You know, they're based in Canada, they're making jackets in Pakistan, and they're selling them at this awesome price. So let's talk about this jacket. This is the Daytona 224.
The Daytona, as you see, is a cafe racer style jacket. It is a 224 due to some design differences from the earlier Daytona. I would say, to me, the biggest distinctifier, if that's a word, is the leather on this jacket. So it's a 1.3 millimeter Buffalo. The jacket weighs about 4.8 pounds. That puts it at a comfortable mid-weight. For comparison's sake, my shot 618 is 4.5 pounds, so 4.5 pounds. This jacket is slightly heavier than that. But from a why is this a 224 standpoint, it is how the jacket is colored. It has a light kind of cognac brown base, and then they top coated it with black pigment, and that black pigment is intended to fade and wear off very easily. And apparently, within about 2 months or so, you actually would see significant change from this new state to a much more faded state. And it's actually something I didn't realize when I ordered this jacket. I just thought it was a black jacket. And then I looked more at the description when I was about to do the unboxing. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I've ordered this jacket that's a fast fading jacket, which is honestly not my cup of tea. I mean, I know it could be for some folks. For me, I prefer to put the wear in myself. Uh, this jacket's going to do it a little bit for you. So that's a big kind of what makes this jacket a Daytona 224, that specific model. They had the original Daytona. They also have Daytona Reload. So there's a lot of different models. Pay attention to the model. Other things that this jacket is made out of. It's got this paisley lining in it. I actually love the look of this lining. I like things that stand out, but I do find for a lightweight, smooth lining compared to, say, other poly or poly blend or nylon blend style linings, it is slick, but it seems like it would retain warmth a little more so than the rayon linings I've had, more so than cotton or even really lightweight, kind of like suit material style lightweight wool linings that I've had on jackets. This one seems like it might be a little warmer than I would prefer for what is really aiming for a lightweight, easy breezy style lining. Other features, you got the snap up here, which is branded Master. You got the main zip and the pocket zips and the sleeve zips, all of which are YKK zips. This is a number 10, and then the pockets and sleeves are number 7s. These zips are fine. They work great. I love the color that they went for. It makes sense with this kind of color of leather. One funny thing I would say about the zippers is this zipper is on the left. Every other one of the jackets I currently have, the zipper slide is on the right. It is not a functional problem, but it does make for a little bit of oddity when you're going to zip or unzip it. It's the other hand. And, I think actually my Fetty leather jacket that was a zip jacket also was on the left side. So this is not something unique to Master Supply, but it is something kind of different. And I would say it doesn't have to do with male or female zipping, like for women's clothes versus men's clothes. Other things that this jacket is made out of, well, that's it. That's it for the components. Let's talk about the features on this jacket. Look, these zips, there's nothing wrong with these zips and having zip pockets. I actually like having zip pockets, and it can be a nice thing to have an internal secure pocket. I would say that having what is essentially 3 pockets stacked on top of each other on either side of this jacket, it makes for a lot of material, especially if you look, you can kind of see here on the interior, there's a lot of built up leather around this and the welting. It makes for kind of a stiffer area on this relatively pliable leather, and you can see how it wants to bulge out, and it's kind of visible through the jacket. Through the exterior, you can see that there's a pocket under there. To me, it feels like I would like this to be slimmer down, or even not to have internal pockets, or reduce some of the bulk involved with the pockets. Maybe it's intended to make it to where this won't tear into the liner. It's reinforced, right? But I don't know. It seems like it's a trade-off that's being made. It's too bulky to me. And other things that strikes me as a little too bulky is these sleeve zips here. The leather at the ends, the way it's folded over and ends up with these welts, it's a lot of leather stacked on top of each other right at the end. And even unzipped, I can kind of feel it pushing against my wrists. These aren't end of the world things. But talking about moving towards ideal, it would be nice if there was less bulk involved there. Other features of the jacket, let's look at the back. It's got an action back. And this very slight lower curve here. You know, this action back, I wasn't sure about it in the unboxing video, but after reviewing the video and moving in the jacket a bit, zipped and unzipped, I do feel that it is functional. I think if you notice how close it is to this armpit line, if it was a little bit longer, it might be more functional while still being not overly large. And it's something that for me, I don't think would be a problem. But for a bigger person, or if I was wearing layers all the time with this jacket, having this kind of shorter style action back, sometimes this little area right here gets put under a lot of tension, and it could lead to tearing or some issue here. Not true for every jacket or even every person that's using a jacket with a smaller action back, but something that I've heard about happening with, say, Aero, for example, Aero leathers. They have a really short action back that they use on some of their Cafe Racer models, and I've heard of a couple people having an issue with that. Again, it's not something that would be a problem for everyone, and could realistically be considered to be an intentional design choice, but just something to point out. I do also want to point out here about the leather here. One, you can see here in this sunlight, it's got a nice sheen to it. This buffalo hide has a decent grain. They've done a good job of having this big panel overall matching, and then this smaller panel having a kind of different set of grain. All of that is, to me, well done and thoughtfully done. I would note, though, that you can see it hanging here, and this is a brand new jacket that I've essentially not worn, that it wants to crease right here. And I noticed this in the pictures that I took of the first wear that I wore after the unboxing. It's almost like this area right along the action back. It either got creased during the packaging or was handled a lot whenever they were putting this together. I'm not really sure. It's the kind of thing that might even out after a lot of wear. But it is noticeable right out the back that there's kind of a crease here. So that is what the jacket is made out of. Those are the features of the jacket. We need to talk about how the jacket's put together, the craftsmanship. Now, we have spoken about the welting. Aside from the welting, I really think that this is a really neatly done job that they've done around all the pockets, which is often an area that you might see some sloppiness kind of coming out. The lines are all straight and well done and even. There are no extra loose threads that I have come across, and I've looked over the whole jacket. And all in all, I think that this jacket is nicely put together. They did a good job on the seamanship. It's not perfection, and you can kind of see maybe a little bit of wobble there. But overall, this is a good job. All right, so let's put this jacket on and look at some motion in it. Okay, so wind flaps just kind of do this until they're broken in. This is the same thing that happens with my Langwitz jacket. Now, you might have seen this in the unboxing, but we're going to do a little rehash if you haven't seen that. As you can see, this jacket is slightly long for me. I think that's just the nature of being 5'9", which, while an average height, if you want to have one length for all users, it's just something that I've learned to live with. So this is the jacket zipped up. You can kind of see that bulge I was talking about here. But it's not overly pronounced, but it's there. You can see the action back moving. And you can also see how tension rises through the back as it gets tight there, and then how it would build up against that lower seam, and why it is kind of tends to be a part where you have to be careful with. But there you have it. This jacket is comfortable to wear, notwithstanding the temperature out here. And the feel on the body is good. It's not just resting on my neck. The weight seems evenly distributed across my shoulders. And here's that zipper thing. I'm always getting this backwards. There we go. This jacket does feel nice on. I feel like it looks nice on. And just getting that, how does this jacket, it does seem to be doing a good job of it. And one of the complaints that people have often is about arms on jackets made in Pakistan and how they hang and they might just look like tubes coming off. I feel like this jacket has done a pretty good job of avoiding that. The sleeves are very slightly long for me, which kind of leads to a different look than ideal, but that's just how it is. So there we have it. This is how the jacket works on. I would say, good job. I like this jacket, and I don't like the fast fade leather of it, but really it hits the high notes, especially the fit and the look of it with this particular style. I think they did a good job of it, and they've made it in this leather that is not lamb. I feel like lamb is so ubiquitous on less expensive jackets that seeing one that fits well and it's not in lamb and it seems to be made sturdily. You know, my complaint about the welting being too thick, it is at the very least, you know, the silver lining of that is that it is more robust. So that it can be a positive. You know, I would be curious how this jacket wears in over time, not accounting for the fast fade leather. And that's unfortunately not something that I can give any meaningful answer to because I'm returning this jacket. I don't want a fast fade leather, and I'm not going to play around with it just for its own sake. That being said, I actually have a Daytona reload that'll be coming my way, which is in a black cowhide at 1.5 millimeter, so a slightly heavier jacket in a non-fade black leather that I do plan to spend some time on and could probably give more information about that. How do Master Supply Co. jackets wear in over time with that jacket, even if I can't give it with this Daytona 224. So all that at this price, around $450, I think is a good deal. Looking around at other jackets, you know, it seems reasonably priced, honestly, and more set at a baseline price, a direct-to-consumer price than you see in the malls. Obviously, Master Supply Co. does have sales from time to time, so you might be able to snag this jacket for less. Kudos to you if you do that. I think for the retail price at $450-ish, that's a good price for this jacket that I'm looking at and wearing and checking out these details on. It kind of all checks out. And so for ultimate, like, is it worth it? Would I recommend this? I would. I really can recommend this jacket, and I will recommend it to folks that ask. I think that the biggest question will be, make sure to look at, is it a fast fade leather? And then kind of within that, some of their jackets come pre-distressed. You know, and I think this is something that I've especially seen on those Gold Rush models. And again, this is not something like the fast fading, the pre-distressing is not something that appeals to me. I think that this is something that is entirely to personal preference. It is not to my preference. Obviously, I see people wearing this jacket, so some people like that. Okay, go for that. But I would prefer to have an authentic break-in of my own and to see that character develop through my own efforts and instead of buying it like that. And so that's kind of something that is about the brand that I've noticed, that they do have these offerings. And I mean, is it like ripped jeans? Are people buying ripped jeans still? Maybe. You know, all things old are new again at some point. And pre-distressing is something that I think will always come and go. And if that's something for you, then look at those models. But pay attention to them when you're buying their jackets so that you don't accidentally get something that's pre-distressed or a fast fading leather, since that is included in their offerings. Now, anything else about this Master Supply Co. jacket that I didn't cover, I would love to hear your questions. I know a lot of folks commented on the unboxing video that they already had these jackets and they're curious about my opinion. So I'd also be curious if you have Master Supply Co. jackets, how my thoughts have lined up with your experiences, especially folks that have been able to wear theirs for a longer period of time. And how have they seen that wear work for them? I would love to hear from you because I want to build as much information up as I can for the eventual review of the Daytona Reload that I have coming up. So, as always, thank you for joining. Have an awesome day and wear what you want.